obviously we all had a fairly clear brief, and we wanted to focus on the benefits through the methods of what we normally haven't accessed before, or something we knew that worked well, so we prioritised on that basis. We deliberately avoided a couple of elements that were offered to us because in the County Council we don't have the ability to use some of the tools that were offered, as in Facebook and Twitter. Through the County Council network, we just cannot access those tools. So that's why they don't crop up. So some of the sort of new media approaches just aren't available to us at this time. The aims, we wanted to effectively communicate the benefits of the partnership, and we looked at 3 specific groups: officers, and we're talking about officers, heads of service level, elected members, and then community. Now, in the community, a lot of our staff who work in partnership from Fire and Rescue and Sure Start are actually, they wear 2 hats. They're employed by us, or they work for us as volunteers, but because most of them are in rural communities around the Sure Start centres, they're also the community. Because to be a retained firefighter in a rural area, if you weren't aware, you have to live very close to the station. So a lot of the services they're directly accessing. So when you get their feedback or the benefit of their input, you're also getting the community's input. So it's a 2-for-1, which is rather helpful. So there were the 3 sorts of groups we were talking about. Some of the things we focused on, based on the fact we only had 15 points at our disposal, it did make us focus, so I thought that was quite useful. The community of practice, the COPs for local government, we had a brilliant sales pitch, and we decided to buy it. We wanted to give some feedback and payback to the IDA today. So, but we could see the benefit in that, and I think that already exists in a lot of ways. And Jan particularly utilises something very similar on a weekly basis, but we don't call it that. So again, I think it's that tagline of a network and approach that already exists. We utilised the email newsletter, and we created the learning diary, which was some of the stuff we talked to Hilary about this morning before we kicked off today, in a one-to-one meeting with her, talking about storing up regular information and feeding that through as we roll out the project through the current next 12 months, to give some clear feedback in the form of a blog, some video evidence and other things about how the project is developing, and we really like that idea. So that's what went under the light bulb, and strange enough, that was only scoring 1, which allowed us to get even more points spread around the rest. Storytelling again from today, thought it was very useful, and the video case studies and films feeding into the learning diary to give a clear flavour. Anybody coming on the website looking at the information, what does it mean? We like the idea of the knowledge cafe, or the knowledge pub as we call it in the fire service, because it's how you have to sell it to your constituent group and get the ideas of bringing people together. We like that. It was more informal, and it wasn't the sort of conference seminar, which I think we all agree, if we didn't realise conferences were dead, they soon will be in government, in local government and the public sector. So everybody will be scratching around trying to find other things to call them, or more realistically, using online forum, using smaller groups, doing things in a different way to get those messages over. And again, the co-design workshops, we like that as well as a slightly different way to approach things, but keep it small and keep it flexible. And the last 2 we had was consultancy and mentoring, which we thought again would give us a slightly different approach to what perhaps we've utilised in the past. And we deliberately avoided one-to-ones. We had a discussion around one-to-ones now. We didn't really want to go to that. We want to keep it a bit more relaxed and more flexible. But the developing of our staff and development of partners was absolutely key. So what's the payback for us? What do we get back as organisations? What do we get back as an authority? And we felt that was absolutely key to achieve that. And lastly, the roles and resources were accessing our resources through the authority, and each other as partners, but also seek other expertise, and then through the IDA, support expertise through 2 key areas: the e-support, website, blogs, video access, COPs, and then so that sort of e-support side, and then the actual events, so running, coordinating events, and utilising best practice. So they were the 2 sort of key areas we wanted to summarise that we were looking for from the IDA.